Shalom Uvracha. Throughout the Book of Devarim, Moshe Rabbeinu uses the word Hayom, today. And this is a word that characterizes the entire book. It's mentioned in the context of mitzvah performance, like we say in Kriya Shema, Asher Anochi Metzavacha Hayom. Hashem commands us today. It's mentioned in the context of making a choice. Nasasi Lifnechem Hayom. Hashem has given before us today blessing and curse. In our parasha, Ki Tavo, it's mentioned in the context of becoming a nation. Hayom hazeh niyeh la'am. On this day, you've become a nation. Or at the beginning of the parasha, towards the beginning, in terms of choosing Hashem. The pasuk tells us, Es Hashem he'emarta hayom. Today, you've chosen, you've distinguished Hashem, taken Him for yourselves as a God. Or later on in Nitzavim, Atem Nitzavim hayom kulchem. You're standing today, all of you, before Hashem. And the question is why? Why is Moshe Rabbeinu using time and again, countless times, the word Hayom? What's so special about this day? So Rashi, as is well known, Rashi writes in a number of these places that the word Hayom means to indicate that it's renewed. On each and every day, we should look at the words of Torah as though they were given today. It's an expression of renewal, an expression of energy, an expression of appreciating the freshness, the newness of words of Torah on each and every day. That's why Hayom, this very day, every day that you're reading the Torah. But that's a drasha, and it's based on the Medrash Tanchuma. But on a literal level of Pshat, there's a day, there's an actual day on which these words are being said. And the question remains on the Pshat level, what's special about this day? And I think the answer is very simple. What's special about this day is that this is the day on which we enter Eretz Yisrael. This is the day on which we cross the Jordan to enter the promised land. And I'm not making this up. This is said by Moshe Rabbeinu. Hayom hazeh, on this day, Atem oivrim es hayarden, you are crossing the Jordan. Now, did they cross the Jordan on this actual day, this 24-hour period? Not exactly. First, Moshe Rabbeinu died. Then there was a period of mourning for Moshe Rabbeinu, and only then did they cross the Jordan. But what it means is that on this day, they're ready to cross the Jordan. It'll take a few days to get organized after the mourning for Moshe Rabbeinu. But ultimately, this is the day on which the journey in the wilderness for 40 years comes to an end. This is also the day, based on Chazal, when the man stops falling. This is the day on which we're ready for entering the land, the promised land. And therefore, this is the day on which we renew the covenant. This is the day on which we choose Hashem. We choose to follow Him, not like the Meraglim, not like the spies and the generation of the spies that refused to follow Hashem and therefore perished in the wilderness. This is the day on which we become a nation before Hashem, because only upon the land do we realize our national destiny. In entering the land upon which Hashem intended that we realize what the Jewish people are about, to live a national life of sanctity and holiness and keeping the Torah, which is kept specifically upon the land, as the Ramban explains and many others. That's why this day is mentioned in Sefer Devarim time and again. It's a unique day. It's a special day. It's a day of entry into the land and realizing our national purpose, our national destiny. And this is supremely relevant today in our own days, because unlike hundreds and thousands of years of exile, today we have the tremendous merit of being able to realize our national Jewish life upon the land, upon the very same chosen land that Hashem promised our ancestors, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, something our own ancestors could have only dreamed about. And this implies two very, very basic points. First of all, a point of gratitude. We need to thank Hashem every day for this tremendous merit of being able to live in Eretz Yisrael, to live in the Holy Land, in Israel, under Jewish sovereignty. Those who don't live here can come and visit. It's there for everyone to go, there for everyone to be. So first point of gratitude. But the second point is a point of responsibility. It's up to us to be able to constitute Jewish life, not just in the private sense, in the sense that we did it throughout the years of life in exile, in the sense of course, being faithful to tradition and keeping halacha, but also in the public sense, in the national sense. It's about being able to constitute Jewish life in all of its richness, in all of its fullness, beyond the private domain that we're used to, but also in the public domain. And this refers, or I refer specifically here, to Haredi society, of which I'm a part. And generally speaking, Haredi society has been separate or isolated from the very concept of constituting a national Jewish life. But after 75 years of the State of Israel's existence, it's time that even we in Haredi society take up the gauntlet, take the responsibility. The situation in Israel today is clearly indicative of the fact that im ein anili mili. Nobody else is going to do the job for us. It's up to us to step up to the plate and to think about how do we constitute Jewish life in a public way, given the fact that there are many people, many Jewish people living in Israel who don't share exactly the same ways of life or the very same ideologies as we do. How do we constitute Jewish life in areas that we've never considered, never thought about? What do we think about the punitive system? What do we think about laws of employment? What do we think about public life in all of its richness and fullness from a deeply Jewish perspective? And as we come to a new year, halavai, I wish that this could be our public resolution, to appreciate the greatness of Hayom, of the day on which we enter the promised land, the day that we're privileged to live today, and to take the fullness of that responsibility, both in a private but also in a public sense, to think about constituting Jewish life in its richness and fullness in partnership with other members of the Jewish people living in the land of Israel today. We should all have a wonderful Shabbos.